Do you ever feel like you're carrying a heavy backpack that you just can't seem to take off? Like there's a weight on your shoulders made up of all the things you've accumulated over the years. Not just physical things, but worries, expectations, past mistakes, and the constant feeling that you should be doing more or should be different. It can feel like we're bogged down, struggling to move freely, even as we enter a phase of life that should be about more freedom, more peace, more joy. This feeling, this burden, it can actually impact not only our happiness, but also our health, potentially even our longevity. It takes energy to hold on to these things, energy that could be used for living, for laughing, for simply being present. But what if I told you there are certain things, common burdens many of us carry, that once released, can unlock a lighter, happier, and potentially longer life after 65? It sounds simple, maybe too simple, but the secret truly lies in letting go. In this video, we're going to look at 4 specific things that you can start releasing right now. Things that are likely weighing you down more than you realize. Letting go of them isn't about giving up. It's about making space for more of what truly matters. It's about shedding the unnecessary baggage so you can walk lighter, feel brighter, and enjoy the incredible richness of this stage of life. Watch to the end because there's something we'll discuss that will likely surprise you with how much of a difference it can make. So, let's dive into the first thing many of us cling to long after it serves us. Something that can feel as essential as breathing for decades, but becomes a real burden later in life: the need for external validation. We spend so much of our lives seeking approval. As children, we want our parents to be proud. In school, we want good grades and acceptance from our peers. In our careers, we strive for recognition, promotions, and praise from colleagues and bosses. Even in our relationships, we often look for affirmation that we are loved, valued, and doing things the right way. This drive is deeply ingrained, almost biological, for a long time. It serves a purpose, helping us navigate social structures and find our place in the world. But what happens when we carry this intense need for external validation into our later years? It can become incredibly limiting and exhausting. Think about it. Are you still making decisions based on what others might think? Are you hesitant to try something new, wear something bold, or express an unconventional opinion because you worry about raising eyebrows? Do you find yourself constantly comparing your life, your accomplishments, your appearance, or even your garden to your neighbors, friends, or family members? This constant measuring against external standards is like running a marathon where the finish line keeps moving, and the judges are invisible and perpetually unimpressed. It creates anxiety, self-doubt, and a feeling that you're never quite enough. After 65, we've earned the right, and frankly, the wisdom, to prioritize our own inner compass. We have a lifetime of experience that has shaped our values, our preferences, and our understanding of what truly brings us joy. To continue seeking validation from the outside world is to discount this profound inner knowing. It prevents us from living authentically. If you always choose activities based on what others think are appropriate for your age, or what your children or grandchildren expect you to do, you might miss out on something you truly love, simply because you're worried about being judged or misunderstood. Maybe you've always wanted to take up painting, but you think, oh, people will think I'm just dabbling, or I'm not good enough to show anyone. Maybe you want to travel somewhere unexpected, but you worry about whether others will approve or think you're being irresponsible. This is the burden of external validation at play. Letting go of this need doesn't mean you become completely indifferent to others' feelings or opinions. Kindness and consideration are still important, but it means that your sense of self-worth and your decisions are no longer primarily driven by what others think or say. It means you trust your own judgment. You value your own happiness. You define success on your own terms, not the terms the world, or even your well-meaning loved ones, might impose on you. How do you start letting go? It begins with awareness. Pay attention to your thoughts throughout the day. When you make a choice, or feel a certain way about yourself, ask, is this coming from my own genuine desire or belief? Or am I worried about what someone else might think? Practice small acts of defiance against the need for approval. Wear that bright scarf even if it's not your usual style. Say no to an invitation that you genuinely don't want to accept, without feeling the need to invent an elaborate excuse. Pursue a hobby purely because you enjoy it, not because you think it will impress anyone. Spend time with people who make you feel good about yourself, just as you are, rather than those who are critical or make you feel inadequate. Over time, as you practice this, you build your inner resilience and confidence. You start to rely more on your internal validation, your own sense of satisfaction, your own peace of mind, your own joy. This shift is incredibly freeing. When you're not constantly seeking approval, you have so much more energy to simply be. You can relax into who you are, with all your quirks and imperfections. This reduces stress, which is huge for both happiness and health as we age. Chronic stress, often fueled by worrying about external perceptions, takes a toll on our bodies. Releasing this burden is like shedding a physical weight, allowing your system to relax and function more optimally. It's about cultivating an inner contentment that is unshakable by the fleeting opinions of the outside world. This is a profound journey, and it unlocks so much energy that was previously tied up in worry and performance. Now, moving from what others think of us to something that often lives deep inside us. Another immense weight many of us carry is the burden of past regrets and mistakes. We all have them. Don't we? Moments where we wish we had said or done something differently. Opportunities missed. Words spoken in anger. Decisions made with less wisdom than we have now. These past events, if we don't process and release them, can replay in our minds like broken records, fueling guilt, shame, and a sense of missed potential. It's like driving forward while constantly looking in the rearview mirror. Not only is it unproductive, it's downright dangerous and prevents us from seeing the road ahead, the possibilities that still exist. After 65, dwelling on past regrets is particularly burdensome. We have fewer years stretching out before us than behind us, and the energy we spend rehashing the past is energy stolen from the present and the future. What happened, happened. We cannot change it. No amount of worrying, regretting, or wishing things were different will alter a single past event. All it does is cloud our current happiness and steal our peace. This isn't to say we shouldn't reflect on our past or learn from our experiences. Self-reflection is valuable. Understanding where we stumbled can help us avoid similar pitfalls in the future. But there's a vast difference between learning from the past and living in the past. Living in the past means allowing those old moments to define you, to dictate your mood, and to limit your potential for joy today. Perhaps there's a relationship you wish you had handled differently, a career path you regret not taking, or a conflict you wish you had resolved. Holding on to the what-ifs is like trying to swim upstream against a powerful current. It's exhausting and ultimately futile. The only power we have is in the present moment. We can choose how we respond to the feelings that arise when we think about the past. We can choose to offer ourselves compassion, to acknowledge that we did the best we could with the knowledge and resources we had at the time. We can choose to forgive ourselves and others involved. Letting go of past regrets is an act of self-compassion and liberation. It allows us to release the heavy cloak of guilt or shame and step into the light of the present. How can you begin this process first? Acknowledge the regret. Don't push it away, but look at it without judgment. What did you learn from that experience? Focus on the lesson, not the failure. Second, practice self-forgiveness. Remind yourself that you are human, that everyone makes mistakes. Talk to yourself as you would a dear friend who is confiding in you about a past error, with kindness and understanding. Third, if applicable, Consider whether there are any actions you can take in the present to address residual feelings. Perhaps writing a letter even if you never send it to someone involved, or finding a way to contribute positively to the world in an area related to your regret. But most importantly, consciously redirect your thoughts when they drift to painful past events. Gently guide your attention back to the present moment, to the feeling of the chair beneath you, the sound of a bird outside, the taste of your tea. This takes practice, but it trains your mind to release its grip on what cannot be changed. This freedom from the past allows you to fully engage with your life now. It opens up mental and emotional space for new experiences, new relationships, and new possibilities. Carrying old regrets is like keeping old, broken furniture in your living room. It takes up space and prevents you from redecorating and making the space vibrant and functional for your current life. Letting go clears the room, allowing you to invite in freshness and possibility. And speaking of letting go of things that weigh us down, closely related to both external validation and past regrets is the burden of unrealistic expectations. This applies to expectations we hold for ourselves, for others, and even for how life should unfold. After 65, we often carry expectations based on how we were in our younger years, how society portrays aging, or how we think our relationships should be. When reality inevitably falls short of these often rigid and inflexible expectations, we experience disappointment, frustration, and unhappiness. Expecting yourself to have the same energy levels you had at 40, or to maintain the same physical abilities without change, is unrealistic. Expecting your adult children to always be available or to live their lives exactly as you envision is unrealistic. Expecting retirement to be a perpetual vacation without any challenges or adjustments is unrealistic. Life is fluid, constantly changing, and imperfect. People are complex, with their own needs, desires, and flaws, and we ourselves are evolving beings, experiencing the natural process of aging with its own unique set of changes and lessons. Holding on to unrealistic expectations is a guaranteed path to suffering. It's like trying to force a square peg into a round hole. No matter how hard you push, it just doesn't fit, and you end up exhausted and frustrated. This burden creates friction in our relationships, leads to harsh self-criticism, and prevents us from appreciating the good that is present in our lives. Simply because it doesn't match our predetermined ideal, letting go of unrealistic expectations doesn't mean settling for less or becoming apathetic. It means embracing acceptance and cultivating flexibility. It means acknowledging reality as it is, rather than constantly wishing it were different. For yourself, this might involve adjusting your expectations about physical activity, learning to pace yourself, and celebrating what your body can do, rather than lamenting what it can't. It means being kind to yourself when you forget something, when you need more rest, or when you simply don't feel like being as active as you once were. For others, letting go of expectations means allowing people in your life, your spouse, children, friends, grandchildren, to be who they are. With their own strengths and weaknesses, it means recognizing that their choices are theirs to make, and that your role is often to offer love and support, rather than judgment or control. This is particularly relevant in relationships with adult children, where the parent-child dynamic shifts. Expecting them to need you in the same way they did when they were younger, or to follow your advice unconditionally, can strain the relationship. Letting go of these expectations allows for a more equal, respectful, and fulfilling connection based on mutual affection and understanding. For life in general, letting go of unrealistic expectations means accepting that there will be ups and downs, joys and sorrows, health and perhaps illness. It means finding contentment in the present moment, even if it looks different from the future you once envisioned. It means focusing on gratitude for what you have, rather than dwelling on what is missing or not living up to an ideal. The practice of letting go of expectations involves actively challenging your shoulds. When you feel frustrated or disappointed, ask yourself, what expectation was just not met? Was that expectation truly realistic? Can I adjust my perspective or my actions to better align with reality? This might involve having open conversations with loved ones about your needs and boundaries, or simply adjusting your internal narrative to be more forgiving and accepting. Releasing the burden of unrealistic expectations is incredibly freeing. It reduces conflict with others, lessens self-inflicted pressure, and opens you up to experiencing genuine joy in the imperfect beauty of life as it is. It's about finding peace, not in achieving a perfect state, but in embracing the messy, unpredictable, and often wonderful reality of being human. When you're not constantly striving for an impossible ideal, you can relax and enjoy the journey, which is far better for your well-being and reduces the stress that holding on to rigidity creates. Finally, let's talk about perhaps the most pervasive and culturally ingrained burden many of us carry. Especially after a lifetime of productivity, the burden of constant busyness and the need to do all the time. For decades, our identity, our value, and our sense of purpose were often tied to what we did. Our jobs, raising families, managing households, volunteering, achieving goals, retirement, or simply scaling back, can leave a void that many feel compelled to fill immediately with new activities, new projects, new commitments. While staying active and engaged is important, there's a difference between purposeful activity and simply staying busy for the sake of being busy. Holding on to the need to be constantly doing something, to always have a packed schedule, is like running on a treadmill that never stops. It prevents us from truly resting, reflecting, and simply being. We fear stillness, seeing it perhaps as unproductive, lazy, or a sign that we are no longer useful. This fear drives us to fill every moment, sometimes with things that don't truly bring us joy or meaning, simply to avoid the discomfort of inactivity or introspection. This constant state of doing can lead to burnout, stress, and a feeling that we're still chasing something, even when we no longer know what it is. After 65, our bodies and minds often benefit from a different rhythm. While physical activity is crucial, so is rest. While mental stimulation is important, so is quiet contemplation. Embracing the opportunity to slow down is not about becoming inactive. It's about shifting the focus from frantic doing to meaningful being. It's about creating space in your life for rest, for reflection, for spontaneous moments of joy, for simply watching the clouds drift by or enjoying a cup of tea in silence. Letting go of the need for constant busyness is about giving yourself permission to pause, permission to rest without guilt, permission to say no to commitments that don't genuinely light you up, even if they seem like things you should do, permission to simply be present in the moment, without needing to achieve or accomplish anything. This is where true contentment often lies, not in the next item on your to-do list, but in the quiet appreciation of what is. How do you begin to let go of constant busyness? It starts with scheduling. Nothing. Intentionally block out time in your week with no plans, no appointments, no chores listed. See what arises in that space. Maybe you'll read. Maybe you'll listen to music. Maybe you'll just sit and think. Or maybe you'll end up doing something completely spontaneous. Practice savoring moments. When you're eating, really taste your food. When you're walking, notice the world around you. When you're talking to someone, truly listen. These simple acts of being present counteract the urge for constant doing. Also, identify the activities that truly nourish you, the ones that feel like energy given, not energy taken. Prioritize those, even if they seem less productive on the surface. Spending an hour chatting with a friend over coffee, playing with a pet, working in the garden, listening to music, These are not empty hours. They are life-affirming moments. Releasing the need for constant busyness frees you from the pressure to perform and allows you to connect more deeply with yourself and the world around you. It reduces stress, improves sleep, and allows your mind and body to recover. It's about finding joy in the simple things, the everyday moments that often get overlooked in the rush of doing. This slower pace isn't about decline, it's about discernment, choosing quality over quantity, and finding a richer, deeper way of experiencing life. It allows you to fully inhabit this present moment, which is truly the only moment we ever have. And it is this embrace of presence, this letting go of the frantic need to always be occupied, that can lead to a profound sense of peace and fulfillment, positively impacting every aspect of your well-being. So, we've talked about shedding the need for external validation, releasing the heavy chain of past regrets, loosening the grip of unrealistic expectations, and finding freedom from the relentless urge to be constantly busy. These 4 things, these invisible burdens, are things many of us carry, often without realizing how much energy they consume and how much joy they steal. But imagine what your life could feel like if you began to consciously release them. Imagine the lightness, the freedom, the pure energy that would become available to you. It's not about becoming a completely different person overnight. It's about a gentle, ongoing process of becoming more fully yourself. It's about recognizing that you are already enough, that your past does not define your future, that perfection is an illusion, and that true value is found not just in doing, but in being. Think about the energy you put into worrying about what others think. What if you redirected just a fraction of that energy into pursuing a passion you've always dreamed of? Think about the mental cycles spent replaying old mistakes. What if you used that mental clarity to appreciate the wisdom those experiences gave you and focus on creating positive moments today? Think about the frustration that comes from expecting too much. What if you channeled that energy into practicing acceptance and finding gratitude for things as they are? And think about the exhaustion from constant busyness. What if you allowed yourself moments of true rest and presence, rediscovering the simple joys that fill your spirit? Making space by letting go isn't an ending. It's a beginning. It's the start of a phase of life where you can be more authentically you than ever before. A time where your peace of mind is more valuable than external approval. Where wisdom gained outweighs past missteps. Where acceptance brings more joy than striving for the impossible. And where being present is more fulfilling than being constantly occupied. Remember, small changes can make a big difference to your health and happiness, even starting with just one of these areas, reflecting on how it impacts you, and taking one tiny step towards letting go can start to shift things. It might feel a little strange or even uncomfortable at first, like taking off a familiar, heavy coat. But with practice, you'll feel the incredible relief and the newfound energy that comes from walking lighter through life. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Which of these points resonates most with you? What's one thing you feel ready to start letting go of after 65? Share your experiences or insights in the comments below. Your journey can inspire others. If you found this video helpful and encouraging, please give it a like. It helps more people find this message. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel for more content like this, focused on living your best life at every age. Thank you for spending this time with me. Remember, this phase of life is a gift. Unwrap it by letting go of what no longer serves you, and step into the lightness and joy you deserve. Live your best life at every age.